Hello everybody, this is Lara at Pure Elliott Wave with an extra free analysis. You voted for it, I'm doing it. This is Nano. Huge vote for this. Someone got out on social media and really drummed up some support for this one. Let's have a look at why. Become proficient in Elliott Wave analysis without reading a textbook in 22 lessons. You know that Elliott Wave analysis can be remarkably accurate when it's done right, but you also know it's complicated to learn. It took me at least 6 months of daily use before I was confident with Elliott Wave. I've created a unique online course to make learning Elliott Wave fun and easy. I've used my 16 years of experience with Elliott Wave, along with my experience as a New Zealand trained teacher, to craft unique exercises for people who are visual and physical learners. This is what our learners have to say about our Learn Pure Elliott Wave online course. This course is on sale for 48 hours only from 10 AM today. The sale ends 10 AM Thursday morning. Start learning now. Click on the link below. Let's do some Elliott Wave. I want to get some labels in here for intermediate 1 just because it annoys me when I can see the count and I don't see the labels in there. So there's a really nice impulse in here, and I think this is a little triangle in here for minute wave 4, and I think I want to see minor 1 over here, and minor 2 might have been an expanded flat. Yeah, that looks beautiful. Oh, except the 5th wave doesn't look so good. Oh, let's try this. Let's have a look at that at the daily. Nope, I want to put this back down here. Could this 5th wave be an ending diagonal? Oh, 3 is obviously longer than 1. 4 overlaps. Yeah, that looks great actually. Yeah, I think that's a good solution. That has a good fit. I think minor 4 might be some kind of combination. Maybe zigzag X flat, or I don't know. But anyway, let's go back to weekly. Okay, so we've got some labels in here. This downward movement fits nicely as a zigzag. C looks longer than A, but it isn't in terms of the distance travelled in terms of price, which is what you use to judge whether they're equal or not in length. C is just 7.3 in length and A is 14.37, so no Fibonacci ratio, but C is extended in terms of duration. I think I want to label 1 over here as a really sharp impulse, 2 a really, really deep correction, 3 incomplete, and another 1 too, possibly, maybe 2 to move a little bit lower. Let's have a look at that at the daily. Minor 2 is a 98.5% correction of minor 1. There's virtually no room left, or almost no room left for it to continue, so I expect it's over there. And that's really normal for a second wave correction within cryptocurrencies. Let's focus on the structure of minute 1. Let's try and see if we can see a complete 5 wave impulse. But before I go into that, one thing I've noticed about Nano is this exponential growth curve here. And I had a really good look back at its bear market rallies, and I can't see any decent looking exponential growth in its bear market rallies, but I can see it in its bull run. So again, this is like a little stamp telling us it looks most likely that Nano's in the early stages of a bull run. I have some of this, so I'm really happy about that. Most of the ones on the list that you're voting for, a lot of them are coins that I've already got myself, so I'm really happy to update the analysis. When it gets further into the bull run, I'll be updating them daily, which is going to take a lot of work, so that's probably all I'll be doing and sharing some of the charts of that with you. That's terrible. That looks like a 3-wave structure. There might be a 4th and 5th wave in there at the hourly time frame. This correction looks okay though. B is 95% of A and C moves beyond the end of A. That looks like a regular flat. Okay, what about this 3rd wave? Is this going to work? I think actually this volume might be a bit thin. These candlesticks look a bit, and this is not a technical term, but spiky. They just don't look like candlesticks look like when there's a decent volume. It's too many wicks everywhere. Is this some kind of triangle? Let's try. I don't think it's going to fit, but let's see. Oh, well, now you're assuming that C comes after B, and the candlestick's green, so it probably didn't. B probably came after C. I don't know, that's not going to work. And then C would have to be there, which means the triangle would be invalid. I don't have hourly data because I've only got daily data from Yahoo Finance. I'm going to say maybe this was some kind of combination. Well, now the problem is that's not a combination, that is a double zigzag, and the second zigzag in the double has not achieved its purpose, so no, I can't label that. Is 5 an ending diagonal? I don't think this market has got enough volume for really good looking Elliott Wave structures. This will fit as an ending contracting diagonal in there. That solves the problem of all of that overlapping, big overshoot for the fifth wave. Okay, well that fits, so yeah, that could be over. Let's turn attention now to the structure of minute 2. Let's see if we can see a complete corrective structure. Okay, 0.997668, is that the lowest low? Yeah, it is. So we need to see a new low below that point, 0.997668 for this structure. I think I want to see B over here, all this overlapping. Let's see if this is a triangle. No, it doesn't. Okay, it won't work. B can move beyond the start of A, but for a contracting triangle, C cannot move beyond the end of A, D can't move beyond B, and E can't move beyond C, so that E has to end before the end of C, or at, technically, but it can't move beyond, so that the triangle has contracting or converging trend lines, and each subsequent wave is shorter than the prior wave. So that's invalid. It could have been some kind of combination. Let's have a look at that. So many times what you think is a triangle just turns out to be a double combination. You've just got to be really wary of triangles. Don't label them as complete too soon. Might have been a triangle in here, let's see. Now I think C came after B. Yep, that works. This looks like a fairly decent looking triangle. The triangle trend lines have a nice fit too. A couple of tests, support, nearly resistance here. That looks like a really good running contracting triangle that meets all Elliott Wave rules. I'm happy with that. And now I think Y will fit. Ooh, no, just failing. Oh, that's awful. Okay, the problem here is this is a double zigzag. First structure in the double is a zigzag, A, B, C, subdividing 5, 3, 5. B is less than 90% the length of A, so it hasn't met the requirement for a flat correction. Now the problem is the second structure also looks like a zigzag, A, B, C. B is not 90% of A, but what if we do this? Oh, okay, now this is going to work. Okay, now A is an expanded flat, B looks like some kind of double zigzag, I think. Just going to leave that labelling off B. I think this is correct, and now subnuit Y is an expanded flat, 3, 3, 5. I don't like the look of that C as a 5, as some kind of triple combination. I don't know, or over here. I just don't think this has enough volume for really good looking Elliott Wave structures. Either way, without being able to check subdivisions at lower time frames, at this time frame it works and it looks not too bad. I think B was over here, so I think we've got a zigzag down for 2, A, B, C. C needs to move below the end of A to avoid a truncation. Truncations are very rare, so I expect Nano's got a little bit further down to go. Let's pull in a Fibonacci ratio or retracement to figure out where it might go. Now this is on a logarithmic scale, so a log function has been applied to the arithmetic Fibonacci ratio. So it might end at 0.905024. Might not get down that low, but let's see if there's technical support between the low today and this point down here. So I've just illustrated there how I'm using Elliott Wave rules and guidelines to figure out a wave count, and what I'm focusing on here is, can I identify a complete corrective structure for minute wave 2? Because if I can, then we can say that we're looking out for the bull run to resume. If I can't, then I'm saying we're looking for the pullback to be deeper. So Elliott Wave is telling us what's most likely to happen next. That's one of the nice things about Elliott Wave. It's one of the very few forward-looking technical analysis tools. The other really obviously forward-looking tool is cycle analysis. So there's very few tools in technical analysis that are forward-looking. Most of them are backward-looking because they're based on indicators and oscillators that are calculated on past data, so based on averages. So they're backward looking or lagging techniques or indicators. Elliott Wave is very forward looking, so that's why it's going to give you an edge. But in order to do what I've just done here, you really need to know your Elliott Wave rules. Let's just look at technicals on the daily. The moving average situation is full bore bullish. The short yellow is above the mid purple 50-day moving average, which is above the green 200-day moving average. There was a golden cross back here when the purple 50-day crosses over the 200-day green average. So the short's above the mid is above the long. They're all sloping upward. Price is above the long, so it's a strongly bullish but not full bore bullish look. There's resistance above at 1.462257, and there's some fairly decent support below at 0.707014, and there's some decent support about 0.93, so that's a little bit above the log function of the 0.618 Fibonacci ratio, so maybe about 0.93 might be where this pullback might end within another week or so. Here's that beautiful curved exponential growth or parabolic growth curve, or I'll call it a J curve for short. When I see these curves like this, that tells me it's most likely a market in a bullish run. And now we're getting sideways and slightly lower movement. This looks choppy and corrective. This looks impulsive. And it has a really, really strong push from volume, a huge increase in range, a volume spike for a blow-off top, and now we're getting a reaction. Unsurprising, there's a pullback happening for Nano. Huge volume for previous upward movement, still stronger volume on upward days, and volume is overall light and declining as price moves sideways. There's a pretty tight range on balance volume. There was a false bullish signal as it broke above resistance and it's returned back in. So when that happens, and sometimes it does, on balance volume is not perfect, but when it breaks above strong resistance or support, it will more often than not give a really good signal. It doesn't always work. None of these techniques, I keep saying this, none of these techniques are 100% guaranteed to work all the time. If there was something that was guaranteed to work, we would all be very wealthy. I had some very strange comment a little while ago on the YouTube channel saying, this is one thing that always works 100% of the time. I looked into it. The comment was vague, didn't make any sense. I looked into it. I couldn't figure out that it did work all of the time, and the person just completely refused to elaborate. So I think that's a dead duck. Unfortunately, I was hopeful, but oh well, you know, we live in hope. Anyway, so resistance line adjusted, support line's got pretty good strong technical support. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tests at least. Maybe you could even count this one as another one. So if we break below support, because the line is often tested, long held and pretty much horizontal, that would be a really strong bearish signal. A break above resistance would be a bullish signal, but not as strong as the bearish support line because there's more tests of this line. So keep an eye on balance volume if you're very interested for whatever reason in Nano for the short term. ADX has a positive slope. It's above 15. It tells us there's an upward trend, but previously the upward trend was very extreme. So again, unsurprising, we're getting a consolidation and or pullback. ADX has been able to come back below extreme territory, back into more neutral, but it still isn't below both DX lines, and it's still above 15, so it's not setting itself up for the start of a new trend. So a deeper pullback would actually be a really good thing to pull ADX down. RSI reached fairly deeply overbought, but did not exhibit any bearish divergence at the high. It's now back in neutral. Yeah, if we look back further, there was no bearish divergence at the high, but after it reached that overbought, pretty close to 100, it's unsurprising we're getting a pullback to relieve extreme conditions. And so far, the consolidation pullback has managed to bring it right back down into neutral, but it's still above the 50 mark. There was a strong increase in volatility up to the last high, and overall a decline in volatility as price moves sideways. Again, this tells us that this sideways choppy movement is most likely a counter trend movement and not the start of a huge new bear market for Nano. So this is absolutely normal to be expected behavior. The hardest thing though about this analysis is trying to figure out when these corrections are complete. It's hard enough trying to figure out when they start, but trying to figure out when they're over is really difficult. And so to try and counter that, this is what I do. I'll use a channel around the corrective structure, this Elliott Wave structure of minute wave 2. I've drawn it from the start of A to to this high here. Normally you do it to the end of B, but I don't want to have an overshoot. placed a parallel copy on the end of A, so it contains all of this movement. This is a pretty conservative channel. If we see a full daily green candlestick above and not touching the upper edge of this channel, I would take that as confirmation that the correction labelled minute wave 2 should be over, and then the next wave up should be underway. And for Nano, the next wave up I expect is going to be a third wave at minute degree, within minor, within intermediate, within primary. This is a very, very bullish Elliott wave count for Nano. That's it for my update of Nano and Veracity, coming to you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you have, and if you haven't, I recommend you do so you don't lose my channel. I'm giving this analysis to you free Monday to Friday, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and I'll give you extra free stuff that you vote on, because it's got to be democratic, guys. And I'll do that. I'll try and get 1 or 2 done a week, depending on what's happening in my life. So thanks so much for watching.